Hi guys, Lynn Palermo here from the Family History Writing Studio, and welcome back to our Storylines videos. And today the topic we're going to cover is No Fact Left Behind. So, family historians who become family history writers are big culprits when it comes to this mistake. And the reason being is that we have worked very hard for every single piece of fact that we have found about our ancestors. And so when we want to write our family history stories, what tends to happen is we don't want to leave any fact behind. We want to make sure every single fact gets into the story. Unfortunately, it doesn't always benefit the story, right? Because our story is usually shaped around a particular ancestor and his goals, his achievements, him working over these obstacles. And what happens is we got a lot of information, and it may not necessarily forward the story. It may not be relevant to the story, but we worked so hard on it and we want to make sure it gets into the story. So we wiggle it in there. But I think what you'll find is when you go through your draft and you start doing your edits, you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of information dumps that just are not relevant and that'll actually bring the reader out of the story. So you really want to be aware of that. And I'll give you an example. I mean, I am just as much to blame because it's inbred in us as family historians to not want to let go of those facts. But as writers, we need to figure out how to do it. So an example is that I am currently writing a story about my fourth great-grandfather and his mysterious death. Well, I got into a situation where I had to introduce one of the townspeople in the story. And because this person had become quite prominent, there was a lot of information about him. So I went into 2-3 paragraphs about this person. I mean, I could find out everything about him, right? I knew where he was born and when he immigrated to Canada and every single job he had and his political influences and religion, everything. And I dumped it all in there because why wouldn't I, right? Well, it wasn't relevant to the story. And when I went and looked back at it after I had written it, I was like, yeah, it just completely took the reader out of the story. Everything about that person wasn't relevant. And I could literally reduce those 3 paragraphs down to 2 or 3 lines. And that's what I did. So you really need to pay attention. Is everything that you're putting in your story moving the story forward? Is it really staying focused on what your storyline is and about your ancestors' goals? And if it isn't, then you might have to cut it away. And maybe just tuck it away for another day. Maybe it's a piece of fact that will find its way into another story somewhere else. But as family historians who become family history writers, we really do need to learn how to let go of those facts and how to leave some of those facts behind, hard as it is to do. My mentor, my teacher at the moment, she likes to call them Wikipedia rants because we just kind of, it's an information dump, right? I like to call them fact fillers. We tend to go, oh, I need a little more information about that person, and then all of a sudden you've got 3 paragraphs. That really is not important to the story, okay? So this week, your goal is to go back and take a look at your stories. Do you have any fact fillers or Wikipedia rants going on in your stories? And if you do, you've got to figure out a way to cut them out, okay? That's your tip for this week, and I'll talk to you next week.